friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my September and October wrap up. So it is October 1st and I'm going to be telling you all about the books I read in September, but I'm not going to upload this until I've read all my books in October. Mostly because I didn't read all that much in September and I feel like I've been posting a lot of wrap-ups, so I'd rather just combine them for a hopefully more successful wrap-up with more books to talk about, and so I don't have to post another wrap-up. So without further ado, let's get into all the books I read in September. So the first book I finished in September, I read on audiobook and I listened to it on the way down to Charleston, South Carolina, and that is Gone Crazy in Alabama by Rita Williams Garcia. This is the third and final installment in the middle grade Gaither Sisters series, and I really liked it. I thought it was really cute. I gave it a 4-star. I have enjoyed every single one of these books. I think they're really well done middle grade, and they're just really sweet. All of these just follow the three sisters on their adventures. The first one, they go and visit their birth mother in California. The second one follows them back home in New York. And the third one follows them when they go and visit their grandmother in Alabama and the different things they get up to there. I really liked it. I love how these books deal with family, most importantly, and just kind of the complexities and how as you grow you start to realize different things about different people while also comparing them to how her little sisters feel about it. So really liked it, 4-star. Next up, I read For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing, and I gave this a 5-star. I fucking love this book. Samantha Downing did it again. I just genuinely think she's one of my favorite thriller authors because all of her characters suck. Like, none of them are super redeeming, they're not super likable, but she does amazing things with them, and I love that. So this is about a teacher at a very exclusive private school, high school, and he basically does really fucked up shit, but he thinks he's doing it for the betterment of the kids and the teachers. We get a lot of different perspectives in this book, which makes it even better because you get to see the perspectives of the people he's doing things to, and it was great. She knows how to write a really good thriller, and she knows how to write a good, I don't know, she knows how to write a shitty character. It's great. It's not a whodunit, you know who's doing it the whole time, and I still loved it so much. Then I read All's Well by Mona Awad. I absolutely loved Bunny with all of my heart. It was my favorite, one of my favorite books in 2020. I cackled the whole way through. It was great. This had elements of that. There were a lot of reviews and different things that said it was really dark humor, and there were moments where I was laughing, but for most of it I was kind of like, what the fuck's going on? Which I was like that with Bunny too, but it was more of like a haha. This was more of just like, okay. I gave it a 4-star, still really enjoyed it. It did take me so long to get through. I think Mona Awad's writing is a little bit denser than a lot of the books I tend to read, so unless I'm fully engrossed, I'm not like super, like I'm not reading it super fast. I really liked it. It is about a college professor, a lot of teacher books this month. It's about a college professor who teaches theater and is directing the play All's Well That Ends Well, though her cast does not want to do that. They want to do Macbeth, and they're kind of pushing back. On top of that, she's dealing with chronic pain, and kind of we get to see how people deal with her, how her doctors treat her, how her colleagues and the students teach her, and how everyone kind of treats her like she's just hysterical and she's not actually going through pain until some things happen and some weird magical shit starts to happen, and it's dark, it's fucked up, and it was really good. Not as good as Bunny, but still really good. Then I listened to Aristotle and Dante Discovered the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Aliri Sanz. I wish I liked this more. This for me was a 3-star. Maybe if I read it when everyone else read it, maybe if I read it when I should have at 16, I would have loved this. Instead, it fell pretty flat for me. I think the hype really kind of had me thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna love this. And it was just okay. It's about two boys who are friends and they navigate a couple of years with each other. YA contemporary, as usual. I just didn't love it. I just wish, I wish I loved it. Yeah, I don't know what my issue was with this. I just think it was written kind of dramatically for teenagers. Like, it wasn't believable teenagers. It was no Jenny Han. It was very much just like, somebody said like pretentious writing, and yeah, that's kind of how it felt. Like, the dialogue felt very like, no teenager's gonna say that. So I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite. I think I had always thought this was gonna be amazing, and then when it wasn't, I was kind of let down. Then I listened to The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I gave this a 3-star. I feel like I should give it a 2-star because I definitely liked this less than I liked Aristotle and Dante. And this was genuinely one of the most annoying books. I like that the main character is a self-identified fat girl, and how basically she's had like 27 crushes and never had a boyfriend or kissed a boy, and then her sister gets into a relationship and everyone's kind of encouraging her to put herself out there, and like she kind of finds herself, and she's got 2 gay moms, which is awesome. But in the end, it was just kind of meh for me. I feel like I read Simon and I gave Simon a higher rating than it probably deserved for me, and this just fell even flatter. I'm not sure why I listened to this. It took me like no time to listen to. It just, it was really disappointing. This was put in my try a chapter tag. It was put in my these books will self-destruct, and I consistently didn't declutter this because I just felt like I was gonna like this. I liked that it was set in and around DC, which is a place I frequent. So I was familiar with a lot of the places she was talking about and like the vibes and the culture. I am a self-identified fat girl and grew up as a self-identified fat girl. I understood what it was like to be like the bigger girl in the friend group and have everyone else have crushes that like them back, and have everyone else have boyfriends and things like that, and like you being kind of a late bloomer. I wasn't that late of a bloomer, to be honest. Like, I had my first kiss when I was 12, you know, but like I understand what it's like to not have a crush like you back, because it pretty much happened to me my entire life. I like never had a crush like me back until pretty late. But I really hoped that I was gonna like this, mostly because, you know, I felt like I was gonna relate to this. And most of the time with YA, I always say like, oh, if I had read this, you know, when I was 16, like, you know, I should have, I probably would have related and would have liked it. I'm not totally sure that's true. I think there were moments in this that just like pissed me off, and I think the main character and like the main character's sister kind of pissed me off. Like, there were just moments where I was just like, no, I don't like this. So it just didn't sit right with me, so I'm gonna have to give it a 2-star. I wish I liked it more because I did want to like it more, but what are you gonna do? And the last book I read in September was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This was my first ever V.E. Schwab, and holy shit, 5 stars, y'all. It was so good. So good. I honestly didn't think I was gonna be, most of the time bigger books like this usually intimidate me to the point where I don't pick them up. This, I mean, it's not that big, but like it's over 400 pages, so I was kind of like, I don't know. I loved it so much, y'all. Like, it was so good. Like, y'all know. You've probably read it. If you haven't read it, you've heard about it. It's about Addie LaRue. She makes a deal with a demon, and everyone forgets her for the next 300 years until someone doesn't. Until someone remembers her and her life changes. I love books that not only provide alternate perspectives, but also alternate timelines, or like when we're jumping back in time. So we got to see, you know, what she's dealing with in 2014, but also like a bunch of her life over the last 300 years that she's lived, which I just fucking love. I think I like historical fiction a lot more than I think I do, and then I read historical shit, like the parts in this book, and I'm like, I should probably read more. I loved this. Truly, truly loved this. and I wish I didn't suck at vlogging and had actually vlogged more of my experience reading this, because it was just such a fun time and I genuinely flew through it considering how my reading habits have been lately. 5 stars. Absolutely loved this. So those are all of the books. This was a very chaotic time. I'm not sure why, but those are all the books I read in September. It was definitely a very disappointing reading month for me, but I kind of knew it was going to be. I came into the month knowing I was starting a new job, grad school was starting back up, I have to do homework. Lots of things were going on for me. I just got like panicky because I have homework. Yeah, I read some books that I'd been meaning to get to for a really long time, so that's good. I enjoyed a good portion of what I read this month, which is awesome. Alrighty y'all, so it is way later in November than I wanted to be filming this, but it is finally time for me to tell you what I read in October. So the first book that I finished in October was Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. I really wanted to like this. It sounded right up my alley. It is about a mother who is pretty much kind of fed up with her life. She went to art school and she used to do all these art exhibitions and she was really creative, and then she became a stay-at-home mom and has kind of lost that, and as a result she's turning into a dog. She's growing hair, her canines are lengthening, she's got like dog-like impulses. It's really fucking weird. But it just didn't do what I wanted it to. I felt like it was going there, but it could have gone further, I guess. I gave it a 3-star ultimately. It took me way longer than it should have. It's a really short book, and it took me like 2 weeks to read, I think. Yeah. It just was not quite what I wanted it to be, and ultimately just wasn't my favorite. Next up, however, is a book that actually blew me away, and that was Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I loved this. This took me like no time to read. I think I read it over the span of 2 days. I could have read it way quicker if I had had the time. I loved this. This is about a girl who grew up in foster care and is pretty depressed. It deals a lot with mental health, and she goes to volunteer at this farm for kids who are also from the foster care system, and there are ghosts on this farm. It's just like an accepted part of life. It's beautiful. It was heartbreaking at moments, and I loved it. I gave it a 5-star. I would highly recommend picking this up if you haven't yet. I know a lot of people have, as it was a 2020 release that a lot of people were talking about. I absolutely loved it and thought it was incredible. Then I listened to The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, and this was a surprising 4-star. I really liked this. I rarely love YA anymore, but I just thought this was really fun. It is about a time in the future, in the near future, where vampires have pretty much taken over. It's like a known thing that they exist, and if you get infected, you pretty much have to give yourself up and to go live in these cold towns throughout the country. And we follow our main character, Tana, who has like a horrible experience at the beginning of the book. She's not sure if she's infected, but she is traveling with an infected person and a full-fledged vampire, and they're going to a cold town and the things that they get up to. I really liked this. I thought it was a really fun take on something that has been done a million times. This came out during the vampire craze, so I feel like it was really hard at that time to come up with unique vampire stories because they were getting kind of but I really liked this. I didn't love like the love story in this. I felt like it was kind of unnecessary for the kind of book this is, but product of its time. Pretty much every YA book when this was published had a love interest of some sort. I didn't feel like it added anything to the story, but I really liked it and I gave it a 4-star. Right after that, I listened to The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallero. This is the 3rd book in the Charlotte Holmes series. I can't really tell you what it's about. The Charlotte Holmes series as a whole is about this girl named Charlotte Holmes and her best friend James Watson and the misadventures they get up to being Watson and Holmes. I gave this a 3-star. I genuinely don't remember what happened in this book. I have like vague recollections of it, but it just did not stick with me at all. I can tell you things that happened during the series as a whole, but book by book, couldn't tell ya, and it was just kind of fine. Then I listened to another Holly Black, The Darkest Part of the Forest, and unfortunately I gave this a 2-star. This is about a fairy boy. It's a town where fairies are known to live, and they get a lot of tourists, and it's known to be kind of magical, and they have this fairy man prince thing in a glass coffin in the woods that he's been there for years and years, as long as anyone can remember, and he doesn't wake up or come out, and then one day he's gone. And we follow our main characters, Hazel and her brother Ben, who are on this adventure. This just didn't do it for me. I'm not sure why. I've tried listening to it in the past and had real trouble getting into it, and I experienced that again. I pushed through, listened to it, and just didn't enjoy it. I feel like I got both ends of the spectrum of Holly Black this month as far as like enjoyment goes, because I really liked The Coldest Girl in Cold Town and it shocked me. And then this one I kind of was hopeful that I was gonna like, because I loved The Coldest Girl in Cold Town so much, but unfortunately this was pretty disappointing for me and I gave it 2 stars. Then I read New Moon. I still love Twilight. I definitely had like a vampire month in October. I was a vampire for Halloween, probably because of all the books I was reading, but this I actually enjoyed a lot more than I usually do. New Moon has always been my least favorite of the series, just never really liked it, but I actually really enjoyed it this time, surprisingly. I like the way Stephenie Meyer writes Bella's like everyday life. I don't know, I always have, and this was no exception. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 5-star for nostalgia purposes. This is not a perfect book by any means, I'm well aware of that, and actually reading it, I enjoyed it more this time because I think my expectations were so low for it, but it also, I'm noticing a lot more things than I noticed when I read this as a teenager, so I do understand its issues, but I still ultimately enjoyed it, mostly because of nostalgia. Then I finished up the Charlotte Holmes series by listening to A Question of Holmes. This takes place after they graduate from high school and they're going to a summer theater program that Charlotte has been asked to go to because of her reputation, basically at solving crimes. I remember this one. I liked it more, but I still ultimately gave it a 3-star because none of these books really blew me out of the water. They were just enjoyable enough for me to continue with the series, but not enough for me to be like really into them or like a big fan. So I'm glad I finished the series. It was something that I wanted to do, but I'm probably gonna forget about it really quickly. Well, I technically finished this book on November 1st. I read the majority of it in October, so I'm going to talk about it, and that is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I originally gave this a 4-star when I finished it, came to my senses, and gave it a 3-star. This is a fine thriller. It's very, I don't want to say predictable, but Kayla was talking about this from Books and Lala, talking about how there's not enough going on in her books for you to be distracted enough to not put pieces together, and I definitely agree with that. There were a couple twists in this that took me by surprise, but for the most part, because you don't have that much to focus on, it is pretty easy to figure things out just because there's only so much going on, there's only so many characters. This is about a couple who is going to the Scottish Highlands. They were invited for a free trip that she won, the wife won, and they both are pretty rocky. Each have their own reasons for being there, and each of them are lying to the other about different things. What was interesting about this is that the husband has face blindness, so that was like an added thing that was kind of cool. Overall, pretty basic thriller for me, and I gave it a 3-star. Okay, so those are all of the books I read in both September and October. I have not been reading nearly as much as I want to be, and it's kind of disheartening because I have so many books I wanted to read this year that I still haven't read, and I'm just not into the swing of things yet. I'm just not into the swing of things. I'm really not in like a heavy reading mood at this point, so I don't know how many books I'm gonna finish by the end of the year, but I'm hoping I can maybe kick it into gear just for the last little bit, just to like finish strong. We'll see. But thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I will see you guys again really soon. Bye.